And now, Legal Perspective with Allie Menegakis.
The Trump administration has deployed National Guard troops to several U.S. cities, with those cities challenging its constitutionality in court. Well, joining us to unpack who has the authority, when and why some warn that it could be dangerous to cross that aisle, Allie Menegakis, attorney with the Menegakis law firm, on this week's Legal Perspective. Glad to have you back.
Great to be back.
Really important topic. You know, obviously, this is something that is currently happening, and a lot of people have a lot of things to say about it. But if you get right down to the law, what does that say? Is it constitutional for the White House to send troops into cities?
Well, I mean, that's what the courts are deciding now. I would argue that the short answer is only in very, very rare situations.
Okay.
And I think a lot argue from the legal perspective that this is not one of those situations.
So for the audience who's maybe half following it, why is the White House sending troops into some of these cities like LA, Chicago, DC, Portland?
Honestly, the fact that we're even talking about this is kind of crazy to me. I don't know why it's happening. I think that the argument from the administration's perspective is to deal with some unrest there, but the governors themselves has stated that they don't need the National Guard there. And you know, when you think about like deploying the National Guard, what do we think of? We think of Hurricane Hugo here,
Certainly,
right in Charleston.
Yeah.
And so you see National Guard come in to help the citizens and help local authorities and increase their resources to help in in certain emergencies, right? Yeah. When that happens, it's actually the governor of each state that deploys that National Guard, right? That's what they're there for. When
their directive, the governor's directive.
Exactly. When local law enforcement can't handle it. It has really never occurred that the governor of a state has not requested National Guard and in fact has objected to National Guard being deployed in their own state, like is happening now. In this case, you know, there's been argument that they're being deployed to help with crime control. Those kinds of duties are solely for law enforcement. You know, our military is not trained to be on the streets and deal with civil issues. They're trained for combat and combating enemies, foreign, right?
Right.
So using, you know, the military to deal with domestic issues is comparable to like using a sledgehammer to nail in, you know, a painting on your wall.
Oh, goodness.
It's an overreach, and it can cause much more damage.
So what does the Constitution say about sending federal troops into U.S. cities?
Well, the Constitution says that, you know, under the Posse Comitatus Act, which basically says that the military cannot be used for domestic policing. They cannot be used as policing powers. The only time that the military can be used in our streets is under the Insurrection Act, which is a very, very rarely used situation if there's such civil unrest that the local authorities cannot handle it. Basically, a revolt against the government. We think about situations also, you know, you think about the most recent times when there's been really bad civil unrest in cities. For example, after the murder of George Floyd, there were protests in the street.
Indeed. Yeah.
Chicago had that. In that situation, that governor, who's still the governor today, actually ordered his National Guard to go deal with that because he recognized that they couldn't handle it. Right. That's not happening today. So from a legal constitutional perspective, I believe it's concerning. You know, our founding fathers created our Constitution for a reason. When it was developed, we were under British rule with military troops in our streets, stifling our speech, stifling political opposition. Our founding fathers didn't want that to happen again. And that's why they made these laws and created our Constitution the way it is. But the fact that this is being demonstrated today is frankly frightening.
And it's drawing a lot of ire from people who do oppose it. You do have others on the other side of the coin saying that, you know, they feel safer with it, but do you think ultimately it's going to instigate more hatred towards the military or hatred towards, law enforcement?
I mean, that's another thing. I mean, it certainly can. I mean, I don't think that, young men and women, join the military with the goal of policing their neighbors.
Indeed.
I think they do it to protect us from foreign enemies. So it's also not fair to them.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much for that, Allie. Always love to have you. So if you need any legal advice, you can always call the Clegus Law Firm at 843-9000000. We'll be right back.
This has been Legal Perspective with Allie Menegakis.